Today I am renovating possibly one of the worst EA house builds in the entire game, or at least in my opinion. So this is the house that I have decided to renovate in today's video. This is Creekside Corner in Glimmerbrook, and I just wanted to do a really quick overview before we get into the renovation portion of this video. So I think the worst thing for me and for a lot of people out there is that we have these stairs that just lead to absolutely nowhere. There's no door, there's no nothing. It makes zero sense. The window placement on particularly the front of the lot just doesn't make a lot of sense. The roofing is just it's not great. And then we get onto the interior, and I don't really think it gets much better, to be completely honest. I did kind of enjoy the open plan concept here, which I actually end up ditching within my renovation. We've got a little bedroom, a little child's bedroom here. We've got a really tiny kitchen, I would say, compared to the rest of the house, because when you actually look at this house, it's a pretty decent size. I just don't think the space is being utilized as best as it could be. We've got a downstairs bathroom, again, a really, really big room. And then we move on to the upper floor. We've got a further bathroom. We've got a huge hallway, and then we've got 2 bedrooms and then also an office as well. So yeah, let's hop into the renovation process, and then we can start talking about my thought process throughout this entire renovation. So here we are in the renovation process of this video, and I just start by removing the landscaping, all of the windows. I think I also removed the roof pieces because they're just not doing this house any favors at all. So I end up removing those at some point. But one of the first things I actually do is create like this little tower just on the right hand side here. And I just think that adds a little bit of detailing. I think it makes it look a little bit more castle-like, a little bit more mystical, because I still wanted this house to be for a family of spellcasters. Because obviously, as we know, Glimmerbrook is the world that came with The Sims 4 Realm of Magic, and one of the main, obviously, features of that pack is that your Sims can become spellcasters. And so I wanted to still keep this house for a family of spellcasters. So you will see that when we move on to the interior of the house, but you'll also kind of see it on the exterior too. I've made it as whimsical as possible. Now, I've already been doing a few whimsical builds fairly recently due to the release of the Fairies expansion pack, but I wanted this to not be a fairy themed build. I wanted it to be, again, for spellcasters. So I wanted to try and differentiate the builds I've been doing for fairies versus this build for a spellcaster or a family of spellcasters. Now, I originally was going to go for a slightly darker colour scheme on the exterior. So I do try and work out like roof pieces and roof sort of detailing that could be a little bit darker. I also played around with the idea of making the windows darker. And then I realised that these windows also come in this really beautiful white swatch. And so my mind was changed the minute that I sort of found these swatches. So I do end up changing them, and then I just add some like detailing that help bring the white pieces in. I also lower the foundation a little bit because it was sat a little bit too high. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, this house had the super tall wall height, and I think I changed it, to the medium wall height, which I just think sits a little bit better, and it also means that the space when I moved on to the interior wasn't as overwhelming too, because you can imagine when you're working with really like the tallest wall height, I don't know if it's just a me thing, but I definitely feel the need to fill the space more than I do if I'm working with the shortest or the medium wall height. So it just meant that I was a little less overwhelmed when I actually moved onto the interior. I also played around with adding some foliage onto the roof because that's a relatively new feature of the game now. And then I was like, no, I've been doing that a lot with my fairy builds. And again, as I was saying a couple of minutes ago, I wanted to try and differentiate the two types of builds. So I end up ditching that entirely. I pull out some debug from the Realm of Magic pack. I always want to call it something else because Realm of Magic doesn't sound right. I'm not entirely sure why, but I always want to call it something else. But yeah, I end up pulling a few debug items out from that pack just to make sure that the house looks like it fits in with the whole landscaping. I think that is something that a lot of builders do to make sure that the builds that we're actually doing kind of just blend into the world a little bit better. Also, just while I'm thinking about it, just because I've heard my dog get up, if you hear or see the dogs, they are with me in the office whilst I am filming. So I'm hoping they'll be okay. I think Maverick's just come beside me here. Yeah, bless him. So yeah, I wanted this exterior as well to be quite soft, but also what was really nice was when I was adding the pops of the purple from the mushrooms and then the pops of the yellow and the orange from the sunflowers, for example, I just think it started to sort of come together really nicely. And the beauty with making the exterior slightly more neutral and slightly more toned down just meant that I was able to add pretty much whatever colours I wanted within the landscaping, which was really, really nice. So I end up doing that. And I've just checked to make sure that I'm actually recording, because I've done that so many times when I've actually just filmed, got to the end of the video and realised that I haven't been recording at all. So I am recording, so that's not a problem. The landscaping for this house, I think, is relatively toned down, I would say. But I still really like how it all sort of came together, and I really do like the end result. You'll also notice that I used some flower boxes from the new Enchanted by Nature pack, and I realised that I called that the Fairies pack at the beginning of the video, so I'm sorry, it's called Enchanted by Nature. But yeah, I did decide to use those flower boxes because I thought they fit the vibe really well, actually. And I really enjoyed how they looked because they did fit in with the colour scheme that we'd gone for with this house. And here I am just continuing the landscaping from the back of the house and then, sorry, from the front of the house to the back of the house, just making sure I'm using the same pieces so it doesn't look completely mismatched and just like a really weird, like higgledy-piggledy sort of situation. And I've also come to realise as well that when I call this a renovation, I don't know whether, yes, it's a renovation because I actually do keep the core structure of the house, but then I change pretty much everything else. The interior looks nothing like the original interior, and neither does the exterior. So I don't know whether this would be more of a dramatic renovation, or I don't know, because I didn't bulldoze it. So technically I suppose it is a renovation, which is fine because I do enjoy doing these every once in a while. It doesn't take the pressure off because I still want it to be better than the original. But it's just a really nice change of pace. So I do enjoying these, like I said, every once in a while. Again, with the landscaping, just keeping working on that. And then I think relatively soon we actually move into the interior because, as you can see, there's not a lot of back garden space. So I pretty much I think I just put a swing set from Life and Death in the back garden, which is fine. Like it's definitely a functional space because I did envision 2 parents, a new baby, their twin daughters, and then their older child. So I did imagine quite a full family here. And then I also came to realise as well that I didn't actually make a space for a familiar. So in The Sims 4 Realm of Magic, spellcaster Sims can have what they call a familiar. So it's usually either a cat or a dog. I don't know whether any other animals, maybe a horse could be as well, with the introduction of horses. But I've just realised they could have had a black cat or something just to be super stereotypical, but I didn't actually add anything for a cat, which is a bit of a shame. But it's not actually on the gallery at the time of me filming this right now. Obviously by the time the video goes up it will be on the gallery, but maybe I could add like a pet bowl and like a cat tree and a litter box or something for a cat just in case. I think that would probably be quite a good idea. But then we move on to the interior. So this is when I just go in and, again, just bulldoze everything. I was initially going to keep the stairs exactly where they are here. And then I was like, it doesn't really make sense for the space upstairs. Oh dear, I feel like I'm out of practice. I keep saying this because I'm not putting out as much content as I would like to be at the moment. And that's that. I'm not going to get into it, but I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to get back into like more of a normal routine within the next couple of weeks. I am starting my new job in the middle of September, so it's all going to be a little bit manic for a while there, but there will still be regular content on the channel, not to worry. I want to get back into my live streaming as well, because I really, really do miss hanging out with you all in real time. And I know people miss my live streams because I get messages just every now and again saying, oh, Rachel, when are you going to start live streaming again? It will be coming. It will definitely be coming. I have explained that at the moment, it's just, I think the weather's starting to cool down here in the UK, but my office is just too warm. Yes, I do need to invest in an air conditioning unit, definitely, because that will mean that I can sit in here comfortably and film content in the summer, but at the moment it is just too warm in this office with the doors closed, all the lights on and everything. It gets pretty warm pretty quick, so I need to invest in an air conditioning unit, which I will do for next year. But anyway, we have moved on to the interior of the house. We do start with the living room. Is it my favourite living room that I've ever done? No, it's not. No, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you all, but it's okay. I wanted to go for like a softer colour scheme on the interior of the house to match the exterior as well, but I was also trying to keep in my mind this house is for a family of spellcasters. So that was in the forefront of my mind whilst I was creating this and decorating this, so that was really important for me to sort of get across within the decor. I wouldn't say it's like really in your face obvious that this is for a family of spellcasters. I don't think it's super obvious anyway, but there are definitely homages paid to the spellcasters within some of the decor. It's probably more of like a subtle kind of house for spellcasters. But yes, I am pleased with the overall final result. It's not my favourite house that I've ever done, because not every house that I'm going to do is going to be a favourite of mine, but it was fun. It was definitely a fun little renovation project. So again, something a little bit different, not only because I was doing a renovation, but also it's quite a unique and quite not an obvious house, but it was a themed house, you know? So that also added a little element of what's the word I'm looking for here? Challenge, I suppose. It's already heating up in this office and I can feel my brain just like not thinking of the words. But anyway, the living room is pretty much already done. I think this only took me about 20-ish minutes to finish off. I was quite impressed. And I think, what day are we on today? I think I finished this on Friday. I finished the whole house this morning because I did it over a few different settings not settings, you know what I mean? Like different times. Because I was out yesterday with my family so I didn't have time to do any filming yesterday. But I woke up this morning to finish off the house because I still had 2 rooms downstairs and then the entire of the upstairs to finish as well. So I really wanted to just get this done and up today because I promised that this house and this video would be available this weekend. So that's what I wanted to do. So anyway, I'm not a fan of these bookcases on either side of the fireplace. I'm just being completely transparent right now. I don't know, they're not, I don't know, they're okay, but there's just something that's a little bit off about them. I do love the fireplace from Cottage Living. I think that looks really, really good. But yeah, the bookcase is just, don't know, there's just something not quite right about them. And then I did try and do the trick where you put like a picture frame that makes it look like it's leaned back on the mantelpiece above the fire. I don't think I did a very good job because I couldn't work out with Tool how to just edge it back ever so slightly. I still think I need a few lessons in Tool. So if anyone has any recommendations for any tutorials, that would be extremely helpful to me because I'm not the best with using it. I can do stuff like size things up. I can move things off the lot and things like that. I can finally rotate cushions, which was like a huge deal for me at the time. But yeah, when it comes to like, I would say more intricate details within Tool, I do struggle just a little bit. So that's the downstairs bathroom done that I've just rambled all the way through. The entrance, like the entryway, was so just like, you walk in, there's 2 archways and then the stairs. So there wasn't really too much I could do with that space. So I literally just threw a rug down. Obviously, if you download this house, please feel free to make any changes that you would like or that you would or will require for you and your Sims. But I decided to do that with this space. Then we move on to the kitchen dining room. One thing to note about this, and I will point this out when I'm doing the walkthrough at the end, I do switch the dining room table round off camera because I was having a look at this and having it this way didn't really make much sense. Although now that I'm looking at the footage back, it looks okay. I just think it looks better like the other way around, you know? So I do end up doing that, but I'll point that out at the end of the video. As I explained, I love, 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 love these counters from Life and Death. I think they worked beautifully within this space. I also really like the fact that I used brick behind the counters instead of the wallpaper. I think that just adds a really nice touch. And then I also came to realize, this is when I'm in the Life and Death catalog, I was like, oh, we have Life and Death. I can definitely use some items from that pack within this build, because I think the items from that pack just, they work so incredibly well for like any occult sim really, but particularly for a spellcaster. I don't know, I was so pleased with how everything sort of came together, and I think it's pretty obvious at this point, but I will just say it. This is not a pack restricted renovation. I do feel like maybe the next renovation I would like to do, or like next renovation project I'd like to take on, I'd like it to either be only base game or base game plus the pack the world came with. So if anyone's got any recommendations actually for which house they'd like to see me renovate next, then please drop any comments down below, because I'm absolutely open to suggestions. As you all know, I keep adding your amazing build ideas to my build list that I keep on my phone, so that if I'm feeling a little bit stuck one day, I could just go to that list, pull some ideas off and decide what I want to build on that day. So you are all so incredible at coming up with these ideas, and I do add some, particularly ones that sort of like speak to me. I do add them on there. So yeah, if you've got any recommendations, or you think, oh Rachel, I'd love to see you renovate this particular lot, then please let me know. And the more challenging the better, because I'm feeling a little bit spicy at the moment, so the more challenging the better. The kitchen at this point is pretty much nearly finished. I just add a few more details, and then I do move on to, I think it's this, oh yeah, I thought I was going to move on to the back room, but no, it's this room here that I end up turning into a bit of an activity room. So I was very conscious that within the first, like the original build, there was a bedroom downstairs for a child. I decided to just keep all the bedrooms on the upper floor. That's just how I wanted to do it. So with this room here, with it being a through room more than anything else, I think I had two options here. I definitely could have made it like a secondary living room, like a reception room, or more of like a sort of relaxed family room. But then I was thinking, I think these spellcasters like to work on their skills and they have a lot of hobbies, and so I was like, oh okay, well I could definitely turn this into more of like an activity room, and that's exactly what I did. And I think it turned out really nicely. Again, using a few items from the Enchanted by Nature pack, just because I was wanting it to look whimsical, and we all know how whimsical that pack is because it's supposed to be. So I just really, really love how, again, all the objects came together. This room did not take me long at all, because as you can see, there's not really too much going on in here. There's definitely a very obvious color scheme, which I really, really like. And obviously I knew what I was doing while I was creating this space. But when you look back, you think, oh, this is a very, very matchy room, like with the yellows and the oranges and the lighter woods and things like that. I really, really like that room. So it's just somewhere that your Sims can go to work on their hobbies. With this back room here, this is what I would class as, I mean, now that we've got a new kit coming that's a mudroom based kit, this would technically be the mudroom of the house. However, what I decided to do with this space was to sort of create this area on the left-hand side that had like some wardrobe spacing, so your Sims can change in and out of their clothes if they require. And then I decided to use the artist kit. What's it called? Let me just have a look. Oh yeah, is it Artist Studio kit? Because it's not really one that I tend to use too much, but I was like, maybe one of these spellcasters is really into painting. Maybe they're a budding artist, or they just do it as a hobby. But anyway, maybe it's the teenager that lives here, or it could be one of the parents. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I did decide to make that sort of a multi-purpose room. So there's plenty of things for your Sims to do in this house. And then we do move on to the upper floor. Now, full transparency here, because this entire room here is the upstairs bathroom. So what I did try to do initially was to kind of separate the space with either a platform or a spandrel. Now that did not work because of the roof piece that I had used at the front. So I'm sure there would have been a way for me to to change that up, but my brain just could not compute at this moment in time. I did this first thing this morning, so maybe that's why. So anyway, I just decided to turn it into a super big bathroom. I was like, well, the house seems not necessarily grand, but it's a nice house. It's like more of like a fancy house, as it were. So I did decide to just turn this entire room into a big bathroom. This is easily the biggest bathroom I've ever created. But I do like how it came together. I tried to use a lot of plants in here as well, just to make the space look a little bit more lively. I don't know whether any of these spellcaster sims are really into gardening. They could be. I suppose you could add some gardening stuff to the back garden if you wanted to. I literally just put a swing set. As I was saying, literally just a swing set. So that's the bathroom done. It's huge, but it's good. It's a good time. It's a good time. And then we move on to the main bedroom of the house. This is for the two parents and then also the little baby. So I did put a little bassinet in here. So the baby is a newborn, is what I was thinking. But obviously, if you've got a different family dynamic, please feel free to remove, change, do whatever you want. Like if your family have got an infant, for example, you could switch some stuff around. You could put a different you could put a cot in here if you wanted to, cot/crib. Just depends where you're from and what you say. But yeah, you can change whatever you like. But I like having when I'm building quite a specific family dynamic for a house, because then I find it a lot easier to kind of build and create the space that I want to. And I've just remembered as well, because I'm looking at this footage back quite intently actually. Somebody told me about a mod where when you're in build mode, can you see how when my cursor's moving, sometimes the room sort of lights up and it flashes? There's a mod that apparently turns that off, and I cannot for the life of me find the comment from the very helpful person who actually told me about this mod, and I can't remember the name of the mod. So if you know yourself, then I would be so grateful if you could tell me in the comments down below what that mod is called, because it is so frustrating, particularly in sped back footage, because I think you see it a lot more, that the room just like flashes, and it's quite off-putting, I think, on the eyes. So anything I can do to make the watch back, playback experience better for you all, I will absolutely do that. So if you know the name of that mod, please let me know in the comments down below, because that would be so helpful to me, and I think to some of you as well. Some of you might not mind it, and that is perfectly fine, but I'm noticing it, and it's like, it's just a bit irritating. Anyway, the main bedroom is pretty much done. I don't think I add too much more to this space. No, I don't. And then we move on to, I ended up making this a twin bedroom for, I would imagine, like twin girls who are potentially very nearly teenagers. I don't think they're quite teenagers yet, because you'll notice within this room there's quite a lot of, I would say, more like childish, quote unquote, decor and like more childish color schemes. So I did go for like a very soft purple, pink and blue theme in here, along with like splashes of white, cream, lighter wood. And then this is when I was like, okay, let's go into high school years and just see if there's any sort of decorations that I can throw on the wall, or the walls, of this room, that might make it look a little bit more grown up, but not too grown up. I don't think that the children that live in this house are particularly old. I think the eldest has just turned into a teen, and that's, I think, the last room that we work on. So the room after this, that's for the teenager. So yeah, I think they've just become a teenager as well, because I initially wanted to turn that into a room for a toddler, and I actually tried it out as a room for a toddler, and I could not land on a color scheme that I liked. I could not land on like object placement, where to put everything, and it was just like really overwhelming to me. So I was like, oh, I'll just turn it into a room for a teen, it's fine. So yeah, so this is the girls' room. I tried to cut back on a lot of the clutter. I think in this house, I actually held back on the clutter. I'll have to see what you all think in the comments down below, because if you've all been around for a while, which some of you have, you've been around for like years, which is just baffling to me and so like incredible. But I think this is potentially a slightly less cluttered house, but I don't know whether that's because the rooms themselves are like a really good size. I can't work out if that's the reason or not, but yeah, I don't know. I definitely could have gone a lot more cluttered in the rooms and just decided to sort of hold back that little bit more. And then what do I put here? Oh yeah, just a clock. I was thinking I'd put some sort of unit there, but I didn't. And then we do work on the last room of this house. So I knew I wanted to use this bed. Is this from Life and Death, this bed? I want to say yes. And I also wanted to use this rug from the Crystal Creations stuff pack because I thought it complemented the bed quite well. And then this is when I came to realize, okay, this is going to be for a slightly old. This is the eldest child, sorry, in the family. So I wanted it to be a little bit more of a grown-up space rather than like a childish space, if that makes sense. So you'll notice that like it definitely sort of has the more of the teen elements, the more of like grown-up elements thrown in here. But I do like how this room turned out. I think it looks pretty good. I think it looks quite fantastic actually. So you'll have to let me know what you think in the comments down below, because this is not a colour scheme that I usually go for, in all honesty. We put a desk in here. I can't remember if I put a computer in here or not. I'm going to go with yes, and I think it's like one of the computers that looks like an older style PC. I think it looks nice regardless. And I hadn't really thought about any of the kids' sort of interests and skills and hobbies, but yeah, I just wanted them to have sort of certain colour schemes within the rooms. But that is pretty much it for the renovation portion of this video. So I really hope you enjoyed it. But what we're now going to do is I'm going to hop on in game so that we can go have a walk through. Harley's just like done a little shake, so I don't know if you heard that. We're going to do the walkthrough of the house so that we can sort of remember what it looked like at the beginning and then what it looks like now. So I will see you in just a second. So this is the finished project of the creek side corner renovation. This is my rendition of the original build. So this is the outside. As you can see, slight difference compared to what we started with. I think it looks pretty nice. It looks fresh. It still looks like it's for a family of spellcasters. It's just quite a lot has changed, obviously. So yeah, this is the outside. Let's move on to the interior so that we can just have a very, very quick walk through here. So this is the entrance. This is like as you would walk into the house, of course. And then the first door on the right leads you to this pretty decent sized bathroom. And I actually really love how this bathroom looks and how I've managed to sort of make all the items work there. And then we head through to the living space here. And I think is this the jewelry making station? I think that's where your Sims can make jewelry. So I thought that would be quite handy as well. So as I was saying, during the renovation process, it's quite a lot of activities, for your Sims to do in this house, which I think is always a plus. So yeah, this is the living room here. Again, bookshelves, not super keen, but it's okay. It's okay. And then this room I actually ended up really liking, and I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I do. But yeah, this is our little sort of activity room, which leads through to the kitchen dining. So this is what I meant by I sort of rotated the table. I turned it just the other way. Basically, I think this just makes a lot more sense. You know, like when you're actually looking at it through here, I think it sits better. I think it flows better, and I think it's better for gameplay as well. So that's the kitchen. Here's our mud room, quote unquote. Not really a mud room, but like, again, just a space that your Sims can come into to do some painting if they would like. And then I think that's it for the ground floor. It is, isn't it? And then when we move on to the upstairs, we have our 3 bedrooms and further bathroom. So this was the main bedroom. So this is for the parents and their little baby that's going to be in that bassinet. So cute. There's also a fireplace up here, which I really enjoy, in like a little seating area just in front of it. It's very grand, very fancy. And then this is the room for the twin daughters. So I did change the colour of this to pink, and I think it just changes the vibes completely. I'm going to be honest. Changes the vibes completely. I think it looks really nice. So I am quite happy with how that room turned out as well. Let's just move on to the bathroom really quickly before we go on to the last bedroom, because I realised we skipped to the bathroom. But this is the bathroom. So this is the humongous bathroom. Like, it's huge. I mean, I'm not mad about it. It was actually quite fun to decorate, but definitely larger than my average bathroom, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but don't be getting used to this. That's all I'm going to say. It's only because the house kind of allowed for it. And then finally, it's our very last bedroom here. So this is for the teenage Sim. Not my favourite bedroom I've ever done, but I was just working with what I had. I even tried off camera some different wallpapers because I'm not 100% sold on this wallpaper. So there's some of you that'll be watching this thinking that wallpaper does not go with this bedroom. I 100% agree. I just could not find another wallpaper that I thought was appropriate, that I thought would work. So I ended up just leaving it as is. That's the little swing set there as well. And I'll probably add some like little gardening planters just at the back here before I pop this onto the gallery. And then also, as I was saying, during the renovation process, I'm going to add like a little bowl for the family to have a cat as well. But yeah, that's it for the video. That's it for the renovation. I really hope you enjoyed this. I'm just trying to get like a nice shot of it so that we can do our little outro here, but it's not working. Oh, there we are. Okay, it's kind of working now. Yay. Anyway, if you would like to download this house, it's available from the gallery right now. My origin ID is RachelPedd. Tray files, as always, are listed down in the description box below, so you can get them from SimFileShare. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining me here today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. You all take care, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye.